Picked the wrong week to quit sniffing glue.
Welcome back, everybody. It's week two on the Kirov Airship, and I'll tell you the truth, I was not expecting to be working on this week. I'll tell you how my weekend went. Saturday, we had a build day at the local hobby shop. This is my monthly model group, comprised of some of the more talented people in this area, and they let me in for some reason. But we had a big model building day at their shop on Saturday. Now, I don't normally go to the model building days. I mean, I go, but I just kind of go and shoot the breeze because I build models 5 days a week and I kind of take my weekends off. So I went over to the hobby shop to, I took a not a Bandai kit, but, you know, something that I could put together in one day that I wasn't going to make a video about anyway. So I just took something off the stash and went over there and was kind of commiserating with the folks about the Kirov and the missing sprue and all of that, you know. And this was the shop I bought the kit from, so I was talking to the owner about it. And I looked over, and even though I had scoured that shelf just 2 or 3 days before, I found another version of the kit, another copy of the kit. And it's like, well, that figures, because after you know, grousing around the house for a while, last week after realizing I was missing this kit, I went on to AliExpress. First I went to Steve, called TV Man. He was sold out. I went to look on Amazon. Mostly they were sold out. AliExpress had it. So I ordered one, and knowing that it was going to take a couple weeks to get here. But I ordered a kit and figured, okay, well, I'll just do something else and work on something else until the replacement part gets in. Well, make a long story short, I found another copy of the kit at the hobby store, and the owner, Brian, prince that he is, king among men, he said, take the missing sprue out of the kit that's still here. We will send that kit back as, you know, missing a sprue. Or missing a tree, and to make up for the fact that you have bought one from us that was missing a tree. I said I'd already started building it, so I can't really return that. He said, okay, well, we'll just take the one that we've got. You grab the tree out, which is here. Da da da! This is the A tree. This is the A sprue or frame, the A frame. I like a good A frame. This is the frame that was missing from my original kit, and I am opening it for the first time right here. Look at that, beautiful. Now see, this was the piece I was missing. The rest of this stuff, if I didn't want to use the stand, I didn't have to. I needed this piece because this is what that circuit board clips to. But he said, go ahead and take that. So now I've got a complete kit, and I can go back to get back on track getting this thing built. And we're going to start with the stand. Now, I've also laid out and tried to figure out what the heck the deal is with these with the circuit board and the stand. Let's see, this circuit board is meant to clip in just like this. And I'm going to pull back these now, these wires here want to be on the front of that clip. I want to have this, and yeah, that's the only thing I want to have coming out of the back. That's going to go that way, so it's going to fit in the clip like this. That's what I needed to do. Okay, now I can put this in the ship and I can proceed with my wiring. La-di-da, that's exactly what I needed to do. Okay, so we still have a mess to figure out with the wiring going down the stand. But I think I've wrapped my head around what it is they expect this to do. I've got the soldering iron heating up. I'm going to start wiring in these motors. We've got a set of wires that go to one motor, and these three, and then we have two more sets that go to the propellers that'll be on this side of the fuselage, and then we have the wiring that's going to go down into the gondola. So I think we're set with that. I'm going to go ahead and plug in actually what I need to do before I clip that in place. Let me pull this back out because I forgot to mark. I got too excited, forgot to mark my wiring for which one goes to which motor. But that's how it works, and we are back in business, kids. So hopefully the next thing you see will be the at least some of the propellers spinning. Okay, I've got the wiring for the propellers paired off based on the underside of the circuit board, because once you clip this in, you can no longer see under there. So these three will go to the propellers on, come on, don't be doing that to me, get out of there. Okay, these three will be going to the propellers on this side. These two will be going to the propellers that are left on that side, and this will end up going forward and down, and that's what plugs into the gondola. Yes, okay, so before I can put this board into that slot, I need to go ahead and solder up this first motor, this first propeller, and I'm just picking one of the wires here, and that'll go to this one, and then I will use some heat shrink on it to seal up the wires, and then we'll do these first three motors, and then we'll slide the board into that slot. Okay, because this will probably be the last time we see inside here, I want to make sure I got this on tape. There's no tape involved. That's just me way of saying we're getting it on, recording it, getting it on ones and zeros, because there is no tape involved. It's still videoing, but it's no tape. Anyway, I've got my three propellers here wired into the board. I've got two more leads coming out. They will get wired into the propellers that are on the other side. Board is in place. All of the leads coming down to the stand are here. This is the lead going to the back light, to a bottom light. There is another bottom light here. These two leads are going through this hole. Those attached to the two plugs that are coming up from the gondola. I'm going to make sure we got two female plugs going down and two male plugs going up. So yeah, we're good on that. This lead comes out and it plugs into here. So that's the three plugs to the gondola. Everybody's happy there. The issue is I have very, very tight quarters here when it comes to, moving this out of the way, when it comes to soldering up these connections for these two remaining propellers. So we're going to solder that up, then we're going to get a bunch of glue out, and we're going to start slamming the two halves of the blimp together. There's really nothing else to do at that point other than just getting what we've gotten done. Now, I am thinking in the long run here. There is another kit of this coming. Like I said, I ordered one from AliExpress. It'll be here in a month. Well, in a couple of weeks. But that's not going to infect this build. What I'm going to do is I probably will take that build and do all of the painting, like on the red bits and all of that. So this one I'm not going to try to paint. This is going to be more or less a dry run for making sure I got everything working. And then the next one I will take the lessons learned and improve on that one. But once we put these two halves together, there are still a bunch of little details that we need to put along the perimeter that we couldn't, little masts and antennas and things like that, that I didn't want to have to worry about snapping off while I was putting them together. So I've got a brush and I've got my MEK ready, and I'm just going to brush it into the onto these pegs here and into these pockets. Probably the pockets on this side would be easier to see. These are the main pockets. I want to make sure that I'm not pinching any wiring, and that's going to be the tough part. I've got everything kind of taped off and away. This is the last one, and I think I might need to tape it up against there. But as you can see, there are only 1,000,006 entry points where everything has to meet up. That one needs a bit of tape. I've taped things down to make sure that they don't interfere, and I'm seeing now where I am. I could stand to put a couple more, so let me cut some more insulating tape. One of them is going to go here to hold these down, hold that down out of the way, and I think this one is going to go to holding this out of this way. Just tape it up there. There. I don't care if it stays very long, it just needs to be out of the way while I am joining the two halves. So the next time you see me, it will either have worked or will have gone down in flames spectacularly, and perhaps I shouldn't use that analogy when dealing with an airship. You don't want to bring up the old going down in flames spectacularly reference. Okay, let's get these out of the way. You have these very delicate propellers and motors here. I don't want to damage those. I just need to have enough room to do my soldering. Okay, back in a minute. We have a measure of success. Not 100% success, but a measure of it. We've got, I put some power to the 3 different circuits that I've got here, and I've got 2 of them that are kind of messed up. This is the lighting circuit. This works fine. I can see the back light working here, and everything else will get plugged into the gondola, and that's all the rest of that lighting. So we know that that is working. That is the light circuit. We've got 2 propeller circuits. I am presuming that they are designed in a way that you would have the 3 forward on one circuit and the 2 horizontal on the other circuit. That's not the way it turned out, because there is nothing to tell you how to wire which one to which. I ended up, just by sheer luck, I ended up with those 3. I don't know if you could see them. It is the top and the 2 on the port side on one switch, and now this one is the other one, which is both of the starboard propellers on one switch. So you can see them starting up here. We work, all of them work, but it's not quite the same as having the 2 vertical and the 3 vertical and the 2 horizontal separated out. But I'll take it. As far as this first one goes, I will take it, because I am not cracking this thing open one more time to switch that wiring around. That was a beast and a half to get closed up with all of the wiring tucked in. And now I can put the last bit of the front teeth in. I'll get some glue out and do that. Yeah, I got some sanding to do on that piece before it goes in. But now it's just a question of training everything. Oh, and thankfully there was an extra, because I busted one of these. That may be something to take to heart, that, you know, put your propellers on it towards the end so you don't bust them, because they are fragile. But luckily there was, that was on the sprue where there was an extra propeller, so I didn't have to try to glue that one back together. A little bit of sanding here on these teeth to get them to fit in. The next thing to do is wait for the, I smeared a bunch of MEK down this seam here. See, we're going to put the last of the teeth in. Which is the problem. I mean, some of the stuff is designed to cover the joint, and some of it is meant to be pushed in while you're putting the joint together, and that is problematic. So I think the next thing to do would be to plug the gondole in and get it glued in place, and then we can start chasing these wires down the stand. Well, in the gift that keeps on giving category, it turns out that one of the pieces I was moaning and whining about not having in the wiring diagram was one of these treasured pieces from the A-frame. When you put them together, it ends up making that plug, which is what I was whining about the lack of, and now I am putting together the framework for the arms of the base, and looking through this A-frame here and seeing what it is. Let's see, A5, A3, 3, 5, and 6. Okay, getting all of these wires routed down and around is going to be a treat, but that's why we're here today. So let me see how well this goes. Okay, it's on the stand, and I have to say I don't think I've ever wrestled as much with a push together, I won't say snap, but push together kit as this. I broke a sweat a few times trying to get these bloody pieces together in such a way that it takes care of the seam. But I will tell you that, of course, the last bit of wiring is not done. This is really over-engineered. It's meant to give you some nice looking wiring. I'm sure that was the goal, but boy howdy is it over-engineered. And you can basically forget about a lot of the adjustment here, because this joint will hold, this joint will not hold, and it's got the requisite number of bushings in there and the gaskets and all that, but it's a weak joint, and I have cranked this thing down, this Allen bolt, like you wouldn't believe, and it does not hold. So forget that one. This one here, I don't know what it's supposed to do because there's little to no throw in it. You can't really adjust it, but so far you can do that, and that's about it. You can do that much of an adjustment. If you want to lay this thing flat and make it straight, you could. It's just not... it's not going to help you. I mean, I can make a nice angle out of it like that, but you can more or less forget this joint holding any weight. That'll hold weight. This will hold weight. That one won't. I might look to see about adding some more gaskets to it to see whether I can. Now, here's what I was telling you earlier. You can do all of this nice looming of all of these wires and get them down in there nice and beautifully. However, and this is going to fall over, once you get to that point, you've got to guess which one of these go onto which circuit. I had them separated out with nice little 1, 2s, and 3s, but by the time I had to feed them through all of the little holes in the stand to make it work, you'll lose any track of what your wiring is. So I am going to guess. I'm going to start guessing to see which ones of these actually complete which circuits. And then I'm going to put the pieces of tape back on it that I had, because the last thing to do is to solder the connections to the battery box. So I need to set this in such a way that I can get to the bottom of this battery box without damaging any of the motors or anything else that it is sitting in. I'd like to sit it like this, because that is the angle that seems to make the most sense. We'll see if we can work with it that way without the whole airship falling over. I think that's what we want to do, is put that and then put that. Oh yeah, I think that'll work. Okay, I think we've got a methodology here. I can work on this while that is balancing there. You know what this kit needs? I just figured out what this kit needs, and it's taken me this long to figure it out. It needs a quick disconnect plug. It needs a quick disconnect plug right there, because this thing is the most cumbersome thing on the entire ship, or the entire build, as I'm trying to work around this much of it, but this thing gets in the way. If there was a male and female 6-pin disconnect right there, all of the troubles would be gone. Now, I will tell you that all is not well. I've got the wire fished all the way down. You can see what's happening there. I've got the wire fished all the way down. 2 of my 3 circuits are working. What is not working is the 3 blades on this side. I don't know which wire is at fault. Whether something is pinched, cut, or otherwise gerflugen, but we don't have what we need to have. I want to set this down, but there's no gentle way of doing it without messing up these propellers. So I am going to take the propellers off. They are a blessed pain to put back on, but luckily I did not glue the backs of these engines on for this very reason. Where's my flat bladed thing? Here it is. If I pop this propeller off and I pop this propeller off, then I can lay this thing down on its side without damaging anything. So there. We are given precious little extra wire. We have to wire this to this and then close it up. Which means putting the positive wires to the 3 circuits that we've got. I was able to re-establish what my 3 circuits were, and that's how I found out that this one is no bueno. These 2 work, and when I hook them up, I get the lights. This is the lighting circuit. When I do this one, you won't see anything because it's those other 2 blades that are on the ground, but maybe you'll hear it. See, I can hear it. I know those 2 motors are working. It is this one that we have no response from. When I put the black wire to it and the red wire to it, we should be seeing the rest of those propellers turn. But for some reason it is not. So all I can do at this point is wire this up, and then we'll take the base, we'll take this this apart, since it's only together with screws. There's no gluing yet. And we'll see where there might be a pinched or broken wire. Good news is I found the problem. I tore everything apart. What else have I got to do this week? I've torn everything apart and found a severely pinched and looks like almost cut through wire. So yeah, we're going to start with that, fix that much of it, and see if we can get those other motors to spin again. I found the original brake. Man, I suck at this. There's the original brake. It was up in here. So now that I've got the whole base taken apart, I'm going to splice a new wire onto the end of this. Luckily I have plenty of wire of that gauge, and just run it all the way down and make a new out of it. But yeah, this could be a lot of reconstruction here. Alrighty, I have been battling this, I've been battling this thing all day. It's 4 o'clock now. It's time to close up for the day, and it's wonderful timing. I still have some details to replace on it, but have a look at this. We've got lights. We've got, I'll do that again so you can see them come on. We've got right hand, and then we've got the left hand. Oop. There we go. That blade is a little bit too tight down on there. But we have all of our propellers propelling. We have all of our lights lit. We've got some light blocking to do, some light leaks, some paint touch-up. But believe it or not, we got this tape to take off. We got some cover plates to put on the joints there. But like I said, yeah, any job worth doing is worth doing twice. I had to pull that whole base apart to get the broken wires fixed. But I told you that joint is still too weak. It's never gonna carry the weight of that. So we're content to leave this maybe at something of an angle like that. That looks good. And it is, I want to say, tilting to the right, but and of course all these little guns are adjustable. And there's, I think what's happening is that this blade is too tight to the, too close to the cowling there. Pull that up just a wee bit. There we go. A little tweaking. And then these ones. And the lighting. I call that a success. I call it a success. It nearly killed me, but I call it a success. Greetings, everybody. It's Tuesday, and we've just got a scant few details left on the Kirov Airship for today. And I think I might even be tempted to just finish up and start something else today. Only got a few things left. Like I said, we've got the covers for the joints to cover up the bolts on the base here, and some aerials and some details. I've gone ahead and put the CCP and the hammer and sickle on the base. There's just not a way to get around too much of that. I mean, it's baked in. It is part and parcel. It is something that you can't really escape on this kit. And I need to touch up the bits of the seam here that we're still seeing. Now, I've thought a lot about this kit, and it seems to me that the fine folks at Border, they would have been better off had they not tried to make this kit snap together. If they had just bit the bullet and said, we're going to make this a glue together kit, I think we would have been in a much better shape, because when you're making things designed for snapping together, you're making the pins oversized, you're making the pockets oversized, you're making them, you know, usually they have like a little catch in them somewhere so that the parts snap in and lock. And I think that is where a lot of the problems in this kit stem from, is the fact that you have to muscle it together and make the parts interlock, where a simple glue joint would have been enough. And also, come to thinking about the painting on this, you can't really paint anything where there's rub, or where two parts are coming into contact with each other. So there's no sense like painting anything to do with this if you are going to ratchet it. And oh, that's another thing, putting actual ratchets in the joints rather than just using those vinyl or the rubberish gaskets. Putting actual ratchets in there would have helped rather than that, because then you could lock things into position better. We still have a major flaw right here. This needs to be a ratcheted joint because it just does not hold the weight of anything. So what I want to go around today and do is to clean up some of these glue bombs where I did have to end up gluing things and then pushing them together anyway. I need to figure out, since this blue is a spray paint out of a Tamiya spray, whether or not I can decant some of that into an airbrush and touch up the paint on those. Go ahead and turn everything off. And I guess I am going to be relegated to putting the hammer and sickles in place, even though it's not my first choice things to do. Had those been decals rather than pushed in parts, you would have had a much more a much easier time deciding whether or not those are something you were going to use. Same with the shark face or the grinny face on the front. If they had just made those decals instead of pushed in parts, it would have made the customization a lot easier. But you know, that's just me coming from a career of model making. Those are just things I would be thinking of that the model company did not. So let me see. These are the big covers for these. Turn this around. This one goes in here. Very tight fit. Now I'll do the other ones here and here. That's these four. Go ahead and get this much done before we start paint touch-up. I'm having some fun with weathering in lieu of actual painting. He said in lieu of actual painting, I'm just doing some black washes over the red framework here, and then going in and dabbing it back off with a Q-tip. Luckily or you know, could be by design, the blue silver being a glossier color, it's easier to wipe the water-based stain off of. And of course I'm doing this in direction of travel so that all of the streaking is going in the direction of travel. And then just hitting it with a little bit of water to take it back off. Careful not to hit the propellers like I'm doing. I need to just figure out what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to do some dry brushing over the gondola and over these black bits. Just some highlighting, but what I wanted to do really was to get, and I'm using the fans to help dry, what I wanted to do was to get some weathering down into the rivets here on the red parts. I just need to spin this around and get the other side. I've also gone in and taken some silver paint, which I think is something that was missing on this, with some chrome. But I did some silver on the some of the aerials and some of the gun barrels, just to bring those back around. There's no reason to have a red antenna. They could be made silver. So let me see, I need to spin this around so I can see the back side of it. Or the simply the port side, or the starboard side of it. Yeah, I can see where I need to get in some weathering just on this girdle work here. Just let it kind of dry in place, and then also we'll need to look at the underside of the wings here, the ailerons, or the, I guess those would be the wings, engine mounts, just to make sure all of my drips are going the right way. If it weren't for the hammer and sickle badgeness of this, this could have been a really nice early shield helicarrier type of thing. The bombs notwithstanding, but it does have the helicarrier lift mechanism going on. It could have been an early Stark design. Trying to keep it off of the stand. I don't want to get into all of that falderall. I was wondering if I should try to put in some streakage, like weathering streaks or bomb streaks, but then it occurred to me that this thing doesn't really travel all that fast, that it would have a lot of streaking unless it was strafed from above or something. It just doesn't, it's got that slow, leisurely pace that you associate with airships, that it wouldn't have a lot of the type of weathering you might see on a Viper or an X-Wing or something that travels a lot faster. Clean off this. What I do like about putting the weathering over the red in particular is that it knocks down the finish of it a bit, gives it a little bit of gravitas, and makes it look a little less like a toy. It takes some of the plasticiness out of the red. Okay, let me see what we can do for a highlighting color on there. It's I think a gray might be too stark, not to use the term, but the gray could be a little drastic, especially figuring out where those red lights are. It's much easier to see them on the bottom that way. See all the red lights going on. Alrighty, so I've got the gunmetal put over top of the black to kind of bring out some highlights. I've got the black over the red to age that all down. And I think the last thing to do really is to go ahead and paint up these bombs. Now I think just a nice bright yellow would be appropriate for them, and it would give me a nice pop of color down there. Maybe put a red circle on the front. Maybe do the red on the front of the bomb. Who knows? We'll see how it goes. Where's my sanding stick? That's what I'm looking for. Just going to clean these up a little bit. These are this gray plastic takes paint a little better than the red and or the black, so I think we're going to have some fun painting those up. And let's get an assembly line going here. I just need to Put it on a tiny bit where we're not going to put the clip on a tiny bit of the bomb where we're not going to see it. These are going to be up in the bomb carrier, so they're not going to be all that visible. The tails won't be all that visible. So that's where we can put our holding sticks. And let's get some paint out. Okay, I would say that I'm pretty much done with this. I put a nice little speckle coat over it. I don't know why. I started doing it and I liked it, so I kept it up. Call it an interference breakup if you must. I don't care what you call it. I call it a nice little speckle. Give me a nice texture over that blue. And I've finished painting the bombs, and I think they'll stand out very nicely underneath there. I'm debating whether or not the fins need to be a color or not. I don't think we need to get too gimmicky with it. But we turn everything off here, and let me load up on bombs to quote who did that? Who sang "Smells Like Teen Spirit"? I think that was. No, I don't know. I'll embarrass myself if I say the wrong band name. Nirvana. That was Nirvana. But I load up on bombs and bring your friends. I think we're ready to, and I've got the printer printing in the background on another project. You may be hearing that. So let me go ahead and load up on bombs, as they say. Well, I know there's room for one more up in there, so let's turn this on its head. That's what we have to do, because the cartridge allows for... Oh, come on. So pieces are hard to deal with. This is the catch here. Oh, come on, we're going to take these off and fix the bloody things. Can't set it down because of the top propeller. Come on. There we go. Okay, let's get... There's the top bomb. I got these on clips here. I just need to unclip them and put the next one in, put the third one in, and the bottom one in. Thank you. Cover that up. There we go. Yeah, I think that was nice. I think that gives me a nice little pop of color there. And then from the front, you see the red of the nose of those. Yeah. I think we may be done. Good morning, everybody. It's Wednesday, and I have declared this project finished. So I'm going to put this video up today. There's no sense dragging it out for a few more days. I can start something else with my week. But here you go. Finished the bombs yesterday. I've got them in place. They look nice. Did some more touching up. Now, it turned out yesterday I had gone overboard with the gunmetal, and so I needed to re-black some of that. I think that when I woke up and looked at it this morning, there was just too much silver there. So let's power it up. Get the propellers all, let's see, get you, there's a face only a mother could love. What an overbite. Get the lights on there. I'm thinking that right now, looking at this kit, this is a big missed opportunity. There's a perfect spot for a logo or an emblem or something there. It's just a big missed opportunity. But let's get the, go back up here and get the propellers working. Contact. Contact. And everybody is spinning. Nice and quiet, actually. Maybe you can see the aerials back there that I have put the silver over to give them a little bit more definition and color. We've got the black wash that looks like oil spills, which is nice. Weathering this thing up, it just gave it some more life. It looked a bit toyish, toy-like. Had a toyish aspect to it, so I put some like running grease spills and things like that. The reason why I put the wash over it was so you could see things like that. See how much better those rivets look when they've got a little accent on them. And the panel lines in the, I guess those will all be engine nacelles, but the panel lines in there look so much better with a little bit of accenting. And yeah, I've got the hammer and sickle on there. Not much else I could do about this one. And happy to say all of the wiring is working. As showy as this is, it does form a purpose. I just wish that back joint was stiffer. And I'm not wild about the face. Like I said yesterday, I wish the face and the hammer and sickles were handled with decals. That way we could have the option of whether we wanted to use them or not. And the aging on these back fins. I suppose it would be nice if we could make this whole back thing spin. I don't know if that was ever considered, or whether those are just stabilizers. But go ahead and turn these engines or these propellers off, and the lights and the top. But that's it. That's the Kirov Airship. And that brings an end to this little experiment. Troubled as it was, I think I managed to pull something out of it that I can be proud of. The lights work, the propellers all work, the bombs are in there. Now tell me if you're missing something here, because this is prominently displayed on the artwork on the cover. You have two spotlights. One on either side. The obvious place to put a light. And yet no lighting was provided for that. So I'm thinking I still have one of these coming in the mail. I think I'm going to light on when I get around to doing the other one. And once I can get over the PTSD of this one. When I get around to doing that one, I think I'll light those spotlights. And I think what I'll do is either put them on the same circuit as the rest of the lighting, or I will gang all of the propellers to one circuit and put this switch and put those spotlights on their own switch. But it just seems counterintuitive that there's this two huge spotlights, and that those are the things that don't light. Again, a lot of head scratchers on this kit as to why things were done and the way they were done. But yeah, it's one of those things you fight through. It's a challenge. I like a good challenge. I got it to work. That's more than I can say. I guess some other folks that have built this have not been as successful as getting everything to work. It's the dang wire pinching problem. I mean, the way you're required to wire this is so counterintuitive. Again, I use that word. That if it had been done in a more modular way, like a plug on both ends of the thing, it would have been a lot easier to wire, because you're not fighting the blimp on one end and then pulling all that wiring down through the stand and then wiring it to the base. I think what should have been done, again, this is backseat modeling, but I think I've done enough models that I have a right to make my own suggestions, would have been to have a wire that was wired to the base. I mean, you have to do all of the soldering to the battery terminals. And if it was loose going all the way up to here and all the way up to here, and then it plugged in, you soldered a plug onto the end of it, and then the ship had the other part of that plug. It was a receptacle. Then you could plug the two together right here. I think that would have been so much easier, so much mo better. It would have been mo better, and I think there's only one way to say that. It could have been done so much better. I also would not have used red lights. I don't know how much of that is game centered and how much of that is, you know, the Soviet centered part of this, making all the lights red. I would have made them all white, with the exception of maybe some red, maybe leaving these ones red. I don't know. But having red lights inside the gondola doesn't make a lot of sense. And we'll turn on the propellers again. Again, so many missed opportunities, so many things I would have done better, or one would have done differently. But a fun kit nonetheless, even though it tasked me. It tasked me, but I think I came out on top of it. So that's the Kirov Airship from the fine folks at Border Models. And I hope you enjoyed the phoenixness of this, pulling it out of the ashes, so it were. And I wanted to thank Brian again over at Hangar 18 for his help in getting the missing parts to me, so that I didn't have to wait for the one that's coming in the mail to finish this kit. So it's Wednesday. I'll probably start something else and have another video up Friday. So until then, y'all be good to each other, be good to yourself, be safe, be smart. Be back shortly.